Philippines might just be the worst country to live on this planet, and it's because of one specific reason: its geography. But why? There's no denying the fact the Philippines is like a paradise on Earth. With its thousands of majestic archipelagos surrounded by breathtaking, beautiful beaches, there's truly no place quite like it. But the same beauty made living on it deadly. Positioned at the epicenter of the world's most disaster-prone region, the Philippines doesn't just experience nature's fury. It takes the center stage of it all. Despite living at the mercy of nature's most destructive forces, more than 116 million Filipinos also get to experience its unparalleled beauty. The landscape of this nation is nothing short of extraordinary. Rugged mountain ranges, active volcanoes, vast coastlines, and winding rivers. All of these tell the story of a nation constantly reshaped by nature's powerful forces. Rising above the terrain are mighty mountain ranges like the Cordillera Central, home to Mount Pulag, the country's third highest peak at 9,600 feet. The Sierra Madre stretches along Luzon's eastern coast. This mighty mountain range acts as a natural barrier against Pacific typhoons. In Mindanao, the formidable Mount Apo, standing at 9,692 feet, claims the title of the Philippines' tallest peak. It's home as well to some of the most beautiful volcanoes like Mayon, with its picturesque perfect cone, and Taal, one of the smallest yet most active in the world. Beyond the rugged highlands, the Philippines is surrounded by water. With an astonishing 35,000 kilometers of coastline, one of the longest in the world, the country thrives on its rich marine ecosystems. Underscoring its significance, the country hosts the center of global marine biodiversity, the Tubataha Reef. This underwater sanctuary is home to 75% of the planet's coral species and 40% of the world's reef fish. Its beaches need no introduction. Boracay and El Nido repeatedly grabbed worldwide headlines due to their unparalleled beauty. Rivers and lakes thread through the islands, sustaining both nature and people. The Cagayan River in Luzon, the nation's longest, and the Agusan River in Mindanao are vital for irrigation, transport, and freshwater supply. Meanwhile, Laguna de Bay, the largest lake in the Philippines, and Lake Lanao, an important cultural site for the Maranao people, reflect the deep connection between Filipinos and their waterways. The Philippines isn't just blessed with paradise-like destinations, it's also a biodiversity wonderland, home to over 52,000 species of plants and animals, half of which exist nowhere else on Earth. This rich natural heritage makes the country a treasure trove for researchers and nature lovers alike. The undeniable beauty of the Philippines begs a crucial question. How can a place so breathtaking also be one of the worst places to live? The answer is simply due to its unfortunate geography. It is situated in the Pacific Ring of Fire, a region infamous for its volcanic activity and extreme weather patterns. The Ring of Fire is a vast, horseshoe-shaped belt of seismic activity encircling the Pacific Ocean. It stretches around 40,000 square kilometers. If you lay Burj Khalifa flat side by side, it would take about 73,000 of them to stretch across the Ring of Fire's area. This region is known for its dense concentration of earthquake epicenters, volcanoes, and tectonic plate boundaries. It's not just famous for its name. This region is responsible for most of the world's earthquakes, including the most powerful ones, and is home to roughly 75% of all active volcanoes on Earth. June 15, 1951. The largest volcanic eruptions of the 20th century happened through Mount Pinatubo. It dramatically reshaped the surrounding landscape and had far-reaching effects, even influencing global climate patterns. With nearly 300 volcanoes scattered across its islands, 24 of them are classified as active, meaning they have erupted in the past and could potentially do so again. Over the last 400 years, the Philippines has experienced 44 significant volcanic eruptions, although the country experiences thousands of tremors each year, most of which are so minor that they go unnoticed by the general public. The placement on the Ring of Fire is also the reason why the nation is frequented with typhoons, usually around 20 typhoons each year. Some of these are so strong that they endanger the lives of millions of Filipinos. To explain this phenomena, we need to look at the effects of the heat generated by volcanoes in the country. This heat warms the surrounding environment, and when combined with the tropical waters of the Pacific, it creates the perfect conditions for cyclones to form. As a result, the Philippines finds itself squarely in the path of these powerful storms year after year. Since typhoons thrive on warm ocean currents, countries like the Philippines, situated in this heated zone, become prime targets for these powerful storms. As long as the Pacific Ring of Fire remains active, the Philippines will continue to be a natural magnet for typhoons. The nation's topography further amplifies its risk. Its mountainous terrain makes it highly susceptible to landslides, while its vast coastline exposes millions to rising sea levels, coastal erosion, and destructive storm surges. Floods are common, particularly during the monsoon season, compounding the impact of typhoons and making entire regions uninhabitable for weeks at a time. Despite the country's efforts to implement flood control projects, they remain insufficient to counter the relentless impact of severe weather that strikes year after year. Due to these reasons, it's no surprise that the country is often regarded as the most vulnerable country in the world. A 2024 study confirmed this harsh reality, ranking it at the top with a staggering disaster risk index of 46.91, outpacing Indonesia, which followed with 41.13. As harsh as it sounds, Filipinos don't live in fear of these threats. They rise above them. Despite the odds, they remain among the happiest people on Earth. They face these challenges with resilience and hope. For many, surviving these disasters means more than bracing for the storm. It means finding ways to rebuild time and again. However, while the Philippines holds the title as the world's most vulnerable country, it's far from alone. In reality, all of Asia bears the weight of being the most disaster-prone region on the planet. This continent witnessed some of the history's deadliest earthquakes, typhoons, and tsunamis. This leads us to our next question: why? Well, this is due to a combination of factors. First, due to its volatile geography. Then, coupled with extreme climate patterns and sheer population density, which are complete recipes for disasters. The continent's vast and diverse landscapes, from towering mountain ranges to sprawling coastlines, place it squarely in the path of typhoons, earthquakes, floods, and droughts. Factor in rapid urbanization, and the impact of these disasters becomes even more severe, leading to widespread destruction, economic upheaval, and loss of life. Geographically, Asia sits at the intersection of several natural forces that seem almost determined to test its resilience. Much of East and Southeast Asia lie within the infamous Pacific Ring of Fire. But it's not just the shifting Earth that makes Asia a hotspot for natural disasters. Its climate plays an equally destructive role. The region sits directly in the path of powerful monsoons and typhoons that unleash torrential rains, brutal winds, and catastrophic flooding. Droughts, too, are a recurring nightmare. Countries reliant on seasonal rainfall, like India and China, face extreme water shortages when the rains fail. Intensifying this already volatile landscape is Asia's sheer population density. Over 4.2 billion people packed into a mere 7% of the world's landmass. This immense concentration of humanity means that when disaster strikes, the toll is often measured in tens of thousands. Megacities like Tokyo, Manila, and Jakarta, perched on earthquake-prone zones and floodplains, are particularly vulnerable, where a single event can displace millions and cause economic losses in the billions. In the end, though nature continues to test the resilience of the Philippines and much of Asia, each disaster becomes a testament to the unbreakable spirit of its people, enduring, rebuilding, and growing stronger with every challenge thrown their way. Beneath the beautiful, clear waters of the Philippines' western coast lies a hidden, terrifying force of nature. Silent, immense, and deadly. However, if unleashed, it could bring destruction to millions of Filipinos. This is the Manila Trench. Although this isn't as widely known as California's San Andreas Fault, it may possess the power to trigger one of the deadliest earthquakes of our time. What level of destruction could this fault unleash that earns it a place among the most dangerous seismic zones on Earth. To truly grasp the scale of the threat and how to confront it, we must first understand what makes this corner of the world so uniquely volatile. The Manila Trench is a prominent 1,500 kilometers oceanic feature located in the western Pacific, just off the coasts of Luzon and Mindoro in the Philippines. This subduction zone reaches depths of approximately 5,400 meters. To grasp just how deep that is, consider this. The average depth of the nearby South China Sea is about 1,500 meters. That means the Manila Trench dives more than 3 times deeper. In fact, if you dropped the entire Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building at 830 meters, into the trench, it would disappear 7 times over with room to spare. This subduction zone acts as the underlying force behind much of the seismic unrest in the region. It also powers a volcanic chain along Luzon's western flank, including the infamous Mount Pinatubo. In 1991, Pinatubo unleashed one of the most powerful eruptions of the 20th century. The eruption was so intense that it transformed the surrounding terrain and disrupted global climate patterns, lowering temperatures worldwide and casting a veil of ash across the atmosphere for months. What troubles scientists most isn't the tremors, it's the long, unsettling silence. For centuries, this fault line has remained dormant. But that stillness is far from reassuring. In fact, it's precisely this quiet that raises red flags, leading experts to rank it among the most dangerous fault lines in the world. Given the immense tectonic forces grinding deep below, it's deeply unsettling how the Manila Trench has remained eerily silent. In fact, since Spanish records began in the 1560s, not a single earthquake stronger than magnitude 7.6 has struck along this fault. This quiet stretch is what scientists call a seismic gap, a part of the fault that's been holding its breath, locked tight and building pressure for far longer than it should. To put this into perspective, imagine you're pulling back a slingshot and keeping it stretched for hours. The tension grows stronger and stronger, and eventually, even the smallest slip could send it snapping forward with devastating power. That's the invisible strain quietly gathering beneath the Manila Trench. The pressure from this relentless buildup of tectonic energy is immense, and when it eventually lets go, the devastation could be overwhelming. So, how severe could the devastation be to have experts genuinely fearful of its consequences? Recent research suggests that certain segments of the trench have the potential to trigger megaquakes as powerful as magnitude 8.4, or even beyond 9. The real danger of these earthquakes goes beyond their sheer strength. It's their ability to set off devastating tsunamis. For a country made up of thousands of islands like the Philippines, this scenario is a chilling reality. Violent shaking that's quickly followed by powerful waves crashing onto the shore with little to no warning. It's a deadly double blow that could overpower even the best prepared regions. Computer simulations paint a grim warning. In the worst-case scenario, tsunami waves from a Manila Trench megaquake could slam into western Philippine coastlines within 15 to 30 minutes. That's barely enough time to realize what's happening, let alone escape. In those critical moments, every second would be a matter of life or death. Models predict tsunami waves soaring between 3 and over 10 meters across parts of western Luzon, including Palawan and Mindoro. Then there's Metro Manila, one of the world's densest megacities with over 15 million people. The violent shaking alone could bring this capital to its knees. Much of its infrastructure, especially older buildings, was built long before modern earthquake-resistant codes. At the same time, millions in the city live in informal settlements built from fragile makeshift materials. A powerful earthquake could reduce these structures to rubles in seconds, displacing countless families in an instant. But the devastation wouldn't stop at homes. It would tear through the lifelines of daily life, knocking out essentials like electricity and water. Power grids could collapse within moments, casting entire regions into darkness. And with no electricity, water systems would fail too, cutting off access when people need it most. Critical infrastructure like bridges and highways could give way under the stress, severing key escape routes and delaying emergency response. The economic impact would be astounding. As a key player in Southeast Asia's growing economy, the Philippines could face a sudden standstill. Businesses shuttered, trade disrupted, and vital industries brought to their knees. As one of the titans of the global business process outsourcing industry, the impact won't stop at local borders. When disaster strikes, customer service operations supporting some of the world's biggest brands will be thrown into disarray. Yet beyond the staggering monetary cost lies a far deeper, immeasurable tragedy. It's the lives that will be lost, the families torn from their homes, and the sorrow that no amount of aid can ever mend. For those who remain, the ache of losing loved ones will become a permanent shadow. With all these grim scenarios, the question now is, how can the Philippines ready itself to reduce the devastation when the Manila Trench finally ruptures? With all the modern technologies that are now available to us, you might think that it's now easier to predict when it will happen. But sadly, this remains one of nature's most closely guarded secrets. Scientists can detect the mounting pressure beneath the Earth's crust and pinpoint the fault lines ready to rupture. Yet the question of when still eludes even the brightest minds. Preparedness. This is still the best weapon in our hands. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, known as PHIVOLCS, is the country's lead agency in monitoring and responding to natural hazards like volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tsunamis. They've installed a quiet network of GPS stations that are constantly at work, picking up the tiniest shifts in the Earth's crust, so small they're almost impossible to feel. Meanwhile, satellites high above are watching too, tracking subtle changes in the shape of the land around the Manila Trench. Together, these tools are giving scientists a clearer picture, helping them understand just how serious the threat really is. Through rigorous studies, scientists have learned that the Manila Trench tends to break in cycles that can last hundreds or even over 1,000 years. That means we might be closer to the next big one than we realize. What's even more worrying is that the Manila Trench isn't working alone. It's connected to a tangled web of fault lines running through the islands. If a megaquake hits the trench, it could trigger these other faults too, setting off a chain reaction that impacts a wide region. For years, the Philippines has focused its preparations on the big one, a powerful magnitude 7.2 earthquake projected to hit the West Valley Fault. However, as scientists warned, the potential rupture of the Manila Trench could trigger an even more destructive seismic event. Even with constrained resources, the Philippine government is taking decisive action. Refusing to be caught unprepared, it has stepped up investments in disaster response and healthcare infrastructure. They're building the resilience needed to face a potentially catastrophic earthquake head-on. Central to this preparation is reinforcing the strength of buildings. Stricter building codes have been implemented to ensure new constructions can withstand strong quakes, while many older buildings have been retrofitted to improve their resilience and protect lives when disaster strikes. But no plan can succeed without something deeper, a culture of preparedness that runs through every person, every family, every business, and every government agency. In true Filipino fashion, even in the shadow of danger, there's a spark of hope, and now, a glimmer of opportunity. What was once seen only as a source of devastation, the Manila Trench, has revealed a surprising secret. Scientists from the University of the Philippines have uncovered something extraordinary beneath its depths: gas hydrates. These are crystal-like formations made of water and methane, a highly flammable gas used as fuel. Preliminary research reveals that an area spanning around 15,400 square kilometers, comparable to the size of Palawan, may be hiding a substantial reserve of gas hydrates buried just 200 to 500 meters below the seafloor. For a consumption-driven economy in search of sustainable energy solutions, this concealed resource holds the potential to revolutionize the country's energy landscape. The potential windfall from this hidden energy source could do more than boost the economy. It could power a national transformation. With the right investment, these revenues could drive the development of cutting-edge technologies and critical infrastructure to help the country brace for the moment the Manila Trench finally ruptures. Because if there's one thing history has proven, it's that Filipinos don't just endure adversity, they rise to meet it head-on. Time and again, in the face of nature's most brutal trials, their spirit doesn't falter. It shines even brighter. Surrounded by breathtaking landscapes that both challenge and inspire, they draw strength from the very soil that shakes beneath them. No matter how many times they fall, they rise stronger, every single time. But, what are your thoughts about Manila Trench? If you love our story, please subscribe to be part of our community. As always, until the next one.